This is A Geek Leader. Hey, Geek Leaders. Welcome to episode 123 of A Geek Leader Podcast, and I'm your host, John Rauda. And before we start into the content of the show, I wanted to read a review. I talked about reading reviews on the show a while back, and I've been reading them almost every week, but I forget every now and then, and I don't get around to it. So I wanted to definitely remember to hit one up at the beginning this time instead of doing it at the end, so I wouldn't forget. This one's from Main Bro. It's a 5-star review. It's fat, and it's titled Fantastic Stuff. Lots of prestigious guests and diverse and interesting content. Highly recommended for anyone in tech. Well, thank you so much, Main Bro. I appreciate it. And anybody else that wants to leave a review, please head on over to Apple Podcast and leave one there. That's where I'm pretty much reading and gathering all these, because there's lots of other podcast players out there, and I know we get lots of downloads through Overcast and Spotify, but I don't really check those reviews as much, so please leave it on Apple Podcasts. That's the place that I go into to read these and to get rewarded and recognition from the reviews that are there. And with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about rewards and recognition today. And this is another solo show. We'll have some great guests back next week, but I wanted to take some time and do what I said I would do and catch up on some of these solo shows. And I want to talk about rewards and recognition, because my thoughts on rewards and recognition are a little bit different than others. And part of that is because I don't believe in rewarding mediocrity. But I want to talk about the differences between reward and recognition. So a reward is something that has monetary value. That's like a bonus. That's like extra vacation days. It's something. It's a gift of some sort, in addition to and over your normal salary. It could be stock grants. It could be something like that. But that's a reward. And typically rewards are because you accomplished something. You finished a project. You did something to deserve this reward. Whereas a recognition is usually like a praise. It's just something that's more of a psychological value rather than a monetary value. And when you get into that, yes, they're both important. They both have meaning. And sometimes you recognize people, but not necessarily because of a specific task or project or achievement, but just their overall value that they've added over a period of time. And that's more of what I consider a recognition. And I may be way off when it comes to HR terms and policies and procedures when it comes to rewards and recognition, but these are my take on rewards and recognition. And it is important to differentiate a reward from someone's pay. Once it's part of their pay and people expect it as part of their pay, they're no longer going to be motivated to receive that reward. They're going to assume it's just what's there. And if they don't get the reward for some reason, then it's going to negatively motivate them and impact them. So let me give you an example. At a previous company where I worked, our bonuses, whenever we were hired, we were told, this is your salary, and this is how much your expected bonus is to be. And every year, everybody in the company got bonuses. Well, that wasn't really a reward. It was just part of what we considered as part of our salary, because there wasn't anything we had to do to get that. It was if the company did well, everybody got the bonus. It wasn't specific groups. It wasn't targeted to any specific metric that the employees were aware of, although it was built on return on assets. But employees did not know that. It wasn't communicated very, very thoroughly to the employees. So every year for the first several years that I was there, everybody got the bonus, everybody in the company. And then one year we didn't. And we didn't know why we didn't get the bonus. Many people said, well, I actually achieved more this year. I had more sales than last year. I had more projects that went live this year than last year. But I didn't get a bonus this year. And people were furious. Everybody in the company was upset about it because they felt like they got demoted. They felt like they got less pay. They got less recognition. And it wasn't so much so that it wasn't so much as the money, but it was that the thought of a reward was no longer there. It was considered part of their normal merit pay and their merit salary. So it didn't go off too well with that. But rewards are something, in my opinion, that should be provided as in response to an achievement. Now, recognition is something different. That's something that you want to be grateful to your employees and you want to offer recognition. But we want to be careful of how we reward people and recognize people for just mediocre activities. And this is one thing that I'm getting ready to say something that I probably might step back in the future. But as of right now, I feel like employee anniversaries are not something that we should, highly publicize and recognize. And maybe when I've been with a company for 20 or 25 years, I might change my tone on that. But as of right now, I feel like when we have these 1-year anniversaries or you get the certificate for 5 years, I feel like we're just recognizing people that didn't quit. or didn't get fired or didn't get moved on. I don't know. I feel like it's mediocrity. Just because you kept your job for 3 years, we should reward you, or I don't know about that. And maybe recognition is more appropriate for something like that. But I get invited to. I'm on a couple of different board of directors, and I get invited to employee anniversary breakfasts and such like that. I never go to them. And somebody asked me the other day, why don't you ever attend these anniversary breakfasts? And I said, well, because I don't like recognizing mediocrity. I'd rather reward people for doing great things. And I never tell my team, excellent work on being here for 4 years. If someone says something about their anniversary, then I'll say, oh, congrats, and let them know that. But I'm not going to throw a party because you've been here for 4 years. But if you come in under budget and you achieve a goal, or you do something that's great, then yeah, I'm going to throw a party for you. We'll have pizza. We'll go to Sizzler. We'll have a good time. We'll do some good stuff. So that's kind of my differences between when you celebrate and when you don't. You don't celebrate mediocrity because you don't want to develop a pattern of mediocre behavior. You do want to reward and celebrate high achievers. You want to celebrate the unusual and awesome things that happen with your team. But you also want to recognize people just for being people, for being good employees, to being rock solid, to being there throughout and being consistent on a regular basis. And for those, there are special things that you can do, like thank you cards. Thank you cards are awesome. If you write someone a handwritten thank you card, it goes a long way. And I found that thank you cards and taking someone for coffee or doing something to show someone that you care about them is more important when you don't do it on an anniversary, but you do it just on a Tuesday, right? It's just a random day. And you want to recognize that person. So you drop a card off and say, hey, just so you know, I really appreciate you doing X, Y, and Z over the last several years and always being there for us and being a great employee. And boom, let that be done. And it's more meaningful when it's not on their third anniversary of working at the company. It's more important if you just throw that out there and let people know that you appreciate them just because it's Tuesday, right? Just because it's Thursday, just because whatever. And I found that's more meaningful and more engaging for employees, and I think it does something, to encourage them to stay, to get them more engaged, and to fire them up and make them more excited about working at your company. I know I do recognize, veterans. I take our veterans out for coffee on Veterans Day, and it's one of the things that I think is important. But you can recognize other people too. Recognize people that have side hustles and side jobs that bring information back from those and help you out. Maybe recognize all the parents, all the single parents or something like that. There's definitely things that you can do to make things a little bit unique, that are a little bit different, and can be a little bit more engaging than just saying, oh, it's your 2-month anniversary of working here, so we're going to give you a party. How about let's give them a party whenever they've achieved something or they've excelled in a certain area. Or let's just tell them, hey, we appreciate you just because it's not your 2-month anniversary, just because you're here and you're doing a great job, and we're glad you're here and we're excited for you and we're happy you're here. And this has kind of been a little bit of a rambling episode, but I thought it was important, and I had written this down over a year ago that I wanted to talk about rewards and recognition, and the idea that we don't need to recognize and reward mediocrity. We need to recognize people because of who they are and what they've done and how solid they are and how consistent they are, and then reward people for achieving more and doing more. So I wanted to talk about it before I forgot about it, and because I'd talked about the fact that I needed to do more solo episodes as something that's important to me and something that I said I was going to do, so I'm trying to catch up on doing those, get back on track. And next week we will have some more interviews and more exciting talk with some of our guests, and we'll have some more of those lined up after that as well. But like I said, needed to catch up, needed to do what I said I was going to do and do these solo shows. I hope you appreciated it. I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed this. And there'll be more interviews next week. Have a great weekend.